I consume social media and media in general in a pretty guarded way, but Epstein news was still able to make its way in. I decided to consume a little bit of news surrounding Epstein and the other people who are implicated in everything that went on, just to inform myself a little bit of what went on, what has been going on, what still is occurring in that world. There's some things on my mind that I want to share. This is no doubt not the place for Epstein news or Epstein details. I, in my own research, probably just skimmed the top off of what was really available to the public. I get the feeling that most of what I consumed and most of what I read about is some of the lighter offenses, if you can use that word to define any of this, to describe any of this. I know for sure that there are offenses surrounding all of this that I did not expose myself intentionally, that are probably the one of the worst ways that humanity could possibly manifest, and that is not lost on me. I'm not making this video to further comment on the depravity that is Jeffrey Epstein and the surrounding implications, but to open up the possibility that you and we may be implicated in all of this. Yeah. The victims in all of this, the children, those that lost their lives, those that ended their lives, the survivors that are here and are grown, they deserve to be known if they so desire, and to heal, and they deserve to receive financial compensation and to take what they need to court, to give testimony in court if they so desire. I feel like they also deserve for all of us to take a second look here, an internal look. In my brief research, I saw a lot of people just, referring to Epstein as the devil, for example. And obviously, so much of this conversation is centered around him. And all of this may be deservedly so, but it's also a little bit dangerous to believe that this man is different than any other human who exists, or any other human who has existed in the past, and that now that he's potentially dead and gone, that the issue can be buried and he'll never be around again. It's just not true. I recently read that every ranking member of the 1930s, 1940s Nazi regime had some pretty serious childhood trauma. And though having childhood trauma is no reason to release culpability, is no reason to release responsibility, I feel like the consistency of this is really worth calling into attention a look deeper. Should it not call into our attention what kind of society that we're living in and raising children in? What kind of society we are participating in every day, when acts like this, people like this, they crop up pretty consistently throughout history until the present day. As more names come out, people who worked with Epstein or were photographed with him or protected him, I see this public cry to punish these people in the court system. And then I see disappointment when these people don't get the utmost punishment, or when they escape punishment, or when they cannot be dragged into the courts at all. And I know this is disappointing. And at the same time, our society, the one in which the trafficking of women and children has existed and continues to exist on a daily basis, that society is the same society that upholds our court system. I think the wide scope of this phenomenon, the scale, the years, the thousands, hundreds and thousands of people that have been impacted by this points to so much of a deeper issue than just a few really grotesquely disturbed men and women. I live I live in my mid-sized Texas hometown. It has doubled in size since I graduated high school over 15 years ago. In an older version of my town, I can for sure remember one smoke shop called Smoker's Paradise. And I think that when I lived here as an adolescent in my youth, it was more of like a pipe tobacco store type situation. Today, there's just a few miles of highway, strip of highway that kind of make up the bulk of the town. And in those few miles, you'll pass at least 15 smoke and vape shops kind of littered on the side of the highway. And most of them are heavily competing for your attention with the brightest, flashiest, catchiest signs. I can't tell you how much I don't care if you smoke or if you vape. That is not the direction of this conversation. I am not judging you. This is not an anti-vaping campaign. Tobacco has been used by humans for thousands of years, and so I'm not going to sit here and say that tobacco, and then maybe I guess more specifically nicotine products, are inherently wrong. I am going to share a little bit of thread of connection with you, though. This is what I see when I'm driving through town. I see that in a town, city limits less than 10,000 people, 15 vape shops are able to stay in business. Not only that, but they're able to afford prime highway frontage real estate. That means that hundreds, if not thousands, of adults in my town, and by way of them, underage users, are consuming these products on a daily basis. Further, when I see these products in use, I see an act of self-soothing. Soothing the call of an addiction, for sure. But we weren't born addicted to nicotine. A lot of us weren't born addicted to nicotine. We were born a baby. Babies need soothing. Babies need the love and attention of their adult caregivers to survive. Babies and children need their most formative years to be spent mirroring the patterns of their parents and adult caregivers, the leaders that they have in their lives. They need that time to come into the clean, strong foundation that they'll then need to rely on as they transition from childhood to adulthood. When I see an adult just doing hand to mouth, can't keep their hand away from their mouth for at least an hour, I don't really see an adult at all. I see a child, and I see a self-soothing baby. Maybe someone who wasn't able to leave their mother's breast in a sustainable way, in a way that allowed them to sustainably come into adulthood. Gabor Mate says that we ask the wrong question when it comes to addiction and other self-soothing behaviors. The question should not be why the addiction, but why the pain? If everything is okay and we are these healthy, thriving humans in a healthy, thriving society, what is there to numb? What should there be to numb? Why do we take so many opportunities to self-soothe? So if many of us just aged out of being a child, what does it really mean to be an adult? I think I got this from Eben Britton, and I really like this definition. He said that being an adult means that you are living on your own instincts, on your own intuition. You're living through the lens of your own inner guide rather than looking to somebody else to tell you what's going on. As an adult, you can let go of the childlike need to be told that you're doing a good job and just go with what feels right. And let me add that no part of that definition, I don't think any part of that definition discounts God as our inner guide or asks you not to have a relationship with God. This is just, it's about speaking to your highest self. So many of us, again, aged out of childhood, but I don't know how many of us have fully stepped into adulthood. We are so separated from our inner guide. We've been separated from our instincts and our intuitions. We look to Daddy Trump or Mama Kamala to solve our problems. And I think that we are using Epstein right now and allowing him to take care of us. Epstein is like this massive street sweeper barreling through our society right now. And as a street sweeper passes by, we are throwing our own culpability into the street like trash and allowing it to be cleaned up and carried away so that we don't have to look at it. We don't have to look at the kind of choices that we've made that allow for the kind of society in which Epstein thrived to exist. If you've never heard the term indicator species, indicator species are plants, animals, microorganisms that signal the health of an environment, of an ecology. So they signal the health of an ecosystem based on either their presence or their absence or their quality. Indicator species are natural detectors of a change in an ecosystem or an ecology. According to Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, they are the first to show the effects of pollution, climate change, or habitat degradation. Epstein is an indicator species. The number of vape shops in my hometown is an indicator species. This is not a vape to Epstein pipeline conspiracy. I'm using nicotine products because it's just way too easy to draw pacifier symbolism, and because, like I said, all those vape shops vying for my attention driving through town really did grab my attention. This is where honest self-reflection is going to come in. An honest, clear-eyed view of your own habits. That's what's going to be the thing to tell you, to indicate your own habits and what your habits mean for you. I can't, and I'm not going to tell you about your habits and if they mean something deeper or not. Insert whatever alarm you want to here. Epstein, screen addictions, workaholism, the prevalence of adultery in our society. These are indicators that something is wildly awry, that our ecology is degraded. We tend to look at everything, so many things, as just individual phenomenon, and we allow them to have their time in the news cycle and then watch as they quietly pass by. But these indicators are here to offer us an opportunity to take a deeper look. A fever is not an illness, for example. It's a symptom of something that's happening within the body. So what's going on in our societal body? In one of my favorite books, A Theory on Objectivist Parenting, the author Rosalind Ross, she writes that our outer world reflects our inner world. This goes two ways. Right now, our government reflects our households, and our households reflect our personal psychological status. Our current outer world does, in fact, reflect our current inner world. There is no contradiction. If we want our outer world to be one of freedom and respect, our households and our own personal psychology must reflect that. So if fixing an entire society feels impossible, maybe we don't have to start there. Let's look from inner to outer. Let's take an opportunity to check in here at the inner about what these indicators could be saying about the way that we're living our everyday lives and how that may be reflected in the society at large. I see so much potential and light here. As difficult as it may be, we are all capable of reflecting on our own personal psychology. And I can't imagine that it would hurt if we were to take the steps to clear our vision and take a really good look at what we have been outsourcing, at what we have just been throwing out and allowing to remove itself. Check in. Have you shown yourself compassion and respect lately? How have you been speaking to your children and to your spouse? What have you been choosing to do in your downtime? Are you really resting? Are you giving your attention and your dopamine away to things that don't give you anything but momentary pleasure in return? Are you living every day in alignment with your values, or are you putting that off for another day? It all counts. Our outer world reflects our inner world. So let's take that opportunity to check in. Let's take that opportunity to check in when we're given an indicator that something might be off. Luke 11:34 says that your eye is a lamp of the body. So then if your eye is clear, your whole body will be full of light. I want to shine and emit light into this world while I'm here. And if you do too, I think that's just what we need. And I think you can. And I think it's right there in front of you. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening. I'd love to know if this resonates and if we need to have any further discussion on this topic.